Hello everyone, welcome to the third day of us reacting to amazing awards websites of the month and just talking about how the wonderful designers that have built them, getting a little deeper into the process from a point of view of a UI designer, of a web designer, trying to break them down not only in Figma but also in the common web development technologies. So this is going to be one of the most fun streams we've ever done. We have 4 wonderful sites with us this time. You can check out the links to these sites in the description, and a lot of fun stuff is planned for today, so just hold on to your hats and let's just begin. The very first site that we are going to look at today is by Delicis.com/English, and all of these are taken from Awwwards.com, and this is the site that was in today's thumbnail. So if you've seen that, I think you already have an idea of what we're going to do, but super cool site. Let's just jump right to it. One of the best aspects of today's sites is that they're so unique, they're so innovative. We've never really covered them here or much of anywhere else on the internet, so it's just going to be a little bit of fun that we can have while breaking down the complicated concepts that make all of these wonderful UI designs. So the very first thing that I noticed is this wonderful video, which is actually a 3D video render, sort of just plays out in the very beginning, and it just plays out for a whole complete period of a whole minute. So you can again watch it with audio if you'd like, but again, I can't play audios on the stream, and also who's the time to watch a whole video? Let's just accept whatever cookies they're offering us like stupid children, and also let's just jump right into it. So let's just skip this ad and we can get started. Again, very first thing that I noticed, beautiful splash circle animation. Quite simple to make, something we've actually covered in the 100 days of UI design stream, but a good first impression is the last impression, and they've just nailed that completely. This is the first slider that you notice when you start the website, and quite honestly, the fact that it lasts for a set amount of time, and you can see the amount of time, you can see the colors changing, is a beautiful dynamic element. Of course, they keep with their theme of 3D elements every single time. 3D flowers, 3D tomatoes, 3D fruits, and everything else is 3D. I don't think these are 3D renders with JavaScript. I think they are just videos or SVGs, GIFs, just not SVGs, GIFs playing, which is actually quite fun. I mean, you could do it in SVGs or PNGs, but again, more difficult. So the very first thing that I notice is there's a logo. Let's just start with the navigation. Not perfectly aligned, but not the end of the world if it isn't. Anyways, we can just skip over that part. Nothing special happens here at all. Just a couple of really simple images, really simple slide animations going on, and I think an after delay animation slider is a very simple thing that we just use and make all the time. So this isn't complicated from a technical point of view, but it's just one of those things which is just fun to look at. Like, you could sit here and watch this for hours on end. And again, you can choose what you want to choose from one of these, and that's just going to take you directly there. There is a little bit of latency time, but at the end of the day, it's a very animated site, so I'm just fine with it. This button is to die for. When you check this out, you guys, super duper special. Like, I know this is a super cool website, but I am such a fan of today's button, even though it doesn't have that many special things going on. So this is a complete fill color normal button, something with border radius is something that you'd make. Once you hover over it, the color sort of shifts and morphs into this beautiful circle with the icon of the arrow, and also you have this beautiful background, semi-opaque, semi-transparent black fill, which has the text, which is completely like one of the simplest, most elegant uses of buttons ever. Like, mind-blowing. 100 on 100. And then again, a couple of things in the footer, nothing very complicated, but something you will love eventually. English, Russian, you can choose your language. Some legal pages, which I like that they've just figured out the legal expectations right away, and also you can just start to replay the video, but we're not going to do that. Let's just see what we can do. Let's just click on discover and see where the site leads us, because that's the proper goal of the site. So we have these exact citrus fruits in the beginning, which we had in the beginning. These are 3D renders, use displayed images. So at the very core of the site, even though it looks super duper cool, I think most of the fun that we're having in the site is because of the fancy fun color theme that we have, and they've just put these images, just sort of plumped them onto the space, and then added a couple of text paragraphs. Raj is asking if we're going to make this today. Raj, we are going to do something even cooler today. At 8 p.m. today, we're going to make this beautiful image which follows the cursor, which was honestly, up until now, a lot of the designers in the community thought was impossible, at least in our community. Many people didn't know it could happen, but we're going to be doing something even cooler. Like, this has a couple of cool effects. Of course, we're not going to be doing 3D because this isn't a 3D class at all, but we are going to be building an image that just has these eyes of a unicorn and they just follow you around. It's the coolest thing ever. I didn't know for the longest time you could do it in Figma. Many people, I'm sure, did not know. So today's UI is much cooler. This is a cool design, and we're going to be reviewing a lot of these designs now because at 6 p.m. because there's just so many complicated, beautiful elements that are very simple to make, in fact, but it just needs a little bit of breaking down, especially if you're a beginner in UI design. But today we have something even cooler planned. Let's just jump right back. Again, one thing I love about this UI design is there isn't anything special happening in the text, at least just plain text with different font sizes and stuff plopped down. A single font group, otherwise if you don't consider the logo, one single font, very simple stuff. White space is also on point, space here, space there, a ton of space, which is quite cool. Also this scroll animation, which I'm an absolute fan of. I can guarantee this exact same thing, this is the exact same button which we saw in the beginning. So the shape almost instantly morphs into this beautiful circle, which is, again, one more time, it's a rehashing of the same principle. If you come across a really good concept in UI design, keep with it, stay with it. Let's just scroll down. Very simple stuff. Again, this looks complicated because they have 3D renders of super duper cool shapes and stuff, which we'd all love to have as UI designers. Who am I kidding? This is a video that plays on infinitely. One very simple video. I think a lot of why this site is so successful has to do with the 3D designers who've built this stuff out, and that's just blows my mind completely. But yes, don't be confused if you can't make something exactly like this. I think as long as you have your color game on point and you have your 3D renders on point, you should be right on your path towards making something similar. A thing I also want to look at today is the navigation bar, because I haven't opened it yet, and I hope there's something cool going on here. So yes, there is. I did not check any of these sites out before we started, and actually it's quite cool. So it just rotates when you hover over it, changes colors and stuff, but also it has these beautiful images. Again, three images per piece, 3 exact same images that we saw in the beginning of the slider as well, but they're made so well that they just work with the website. I'm an absolute fan of this. This plays out into an infinite sort of rotating animation. This is just rotation stuff. When you hover over it, this component rotates and changes colors, and it's just really simple to make in Smart Animate. Like, you could check out a couple of YouTube tutorials and you should be fine. Again, following our rule once again, if your site gets boring, change the color. They could have just placed normal orange color here, but honestly, we've had quite a lot of that, and it's about time they changed the color, which they did, which is quite nice. Raj asks if I know Blender. I dabbled into Blender in the beginning when I started UI design and stuff like that, but haven't touched it for a long time, and I'm not the best in Blender, like, a little bit. I could do the basics and stuff maybe at some point on this channel. If you guys want to see a little bit of Blender with UI design, maybe we could do a little bit of the basics, but nothing too advanced. Like, I can do UI design. Like, if you're asking for web design, web development, UI design, even programming hardcore, I can do like Python and scripting languages and stuff like that, but Blender is something that I'm just a newbie at. Let's just leave it at that. And again, a couple of really interesting, really nice images. You can just navigate, and they've just taken 5 simple things, these tomatoes, citrus, grapes, avocados and flowers, and they've just built this out beautifully. So you can just basically go back and forth. Again, the layout here remains exactly the same. Simple text, little text, big text, medium-sized text. Any baby could tell you the font size between this and this is entirely different, which is very important when you want the user to pay attention to the first most important title in the beginning. You want to have a distinct sense of font sizes. Very important. White space game is on point. Love it. Color game, I am a bigger fan of, and 3Ds, hats off. Like, the 3D stuff is just hats off, completely amazing. Nothing too complicated in terms of technicalities. Like, they've taken very simple concepts relatively. So they have this one slider and this one video, but the fact that they got to have this wonderful 3D animator with them is just, I'm so jealous. So bit of a jealous today. Anyways, they've just placed simple text here, some information about some things that the user might want to know. Nothing complicated here happening at all, but I would like to add, they could have placed these copyright and trademarks and TMs anywhere, but the fact that they've taken the time to break this monotonous, boring piece of text with R and TM images is just chef's kiss at this point. Wase Rana asks, can you review my portfolio website? It would be really helpful. Wase, if you can share the link with us, we will review your site. No problem. Because this is a show about reviewing, at least the 6 p.m. show. And again, the footer, which I'm just exploring right now, on point, perfect, ton of white space, the absolute best. And are you noticing the very, very subtle change in colors? So they've had this really light shade of pink, medium shade of pink, and then this dark shade of pink, but this dark shade of pink is also in the button, so it sort of just ties the whole thing together. Like the nitpicky little details, this is how you get your Easter eggs on point. There is a shade right here, light pink, medium pink, dark pink, perfect, but just check this out. This pink and this pink is exactly the same. Like, how cool is that? Again, they do not miss the opportunity. These are some great developers right here, never missing the opportunity to put a good image in the corners of their UIs. I've done this with blobs on this channel before, but never miss an opportunity. If you have a good image, place it on one of the corners. It takes up a little bit of space, doesn't mess with your white space too much, and honestly, if it's behind a logo or something, it just makes you want to look at the logo even though the logo isn't very, very special. So maybe the logo designer isn't perfect with their logos and stuff, like the logo doesn't work with the theme, but the fact that they've added this image here is just making the logo work. I think they had a good 3D designer, and also the UI design game is just on point, which is why I'm just such a fan of this website from day one, which is today. And again, you can just explore as you come to the end, you can just explore all of these different things, and they've built 5 different web pages, same exact template of building them, same exact way of engineering the whole page, but the fact that they get their colors, which are actually these, are you noticing these 3 shades of yellow? I'm going off on a completely different tangent now of colors, but let's just stay with this. This shade of yellow, this shade of yellow, and this shade of yellow are so very different. Technically, they shouldn't look good on one single screen, but they work well here. They've just managed to make this work perfectly. I am a little bit concerned about the contrast with this white and yellow. Maybe they could have made it a little bit thicker, added a little bit of a drop shadow, and that would have just simplified things so much. I am a little bit concerned of the contrast here, but let's just let that slide, because honestly, their 3D work is just on point. Perfect. And this is again a video, cool video. You could make this with stop motion animation and paper cutouts and stuff. Just or this is actually a really cool inner gradient effect, which you can achieve in Figma. We'll do something like this. The font is having a really cool shade effect. This can happen with inner gradients in Figma, not drop shadows, inner shadows in Figma, and we'll get to it at some point. But again, cool video playing, and I think so much of credit goes to the 3D designer here as well. And again, this yellow, shaded yellows shouldn't make sense, but they do. Their color game is on point for UI designers. And also, check this out. This flower also sort of, when you're looking at the footer, this flower also comes behind this logo. And I don't think this just happens. Like, this has to be intentional. Like, you have to place this flower here. And also, there's a cool shadow here, which is honestly quite nice. Like, there's a shadow here as well. So the fact that they've just managed to have these Easter eggs, have a shadow for their 3D element, is just so nice. Like, I'm completely a huge fan of the way they've done things. This button uses the exact same effects, underlining our concept of, if you have a really good UI design element, really good button, really good something, do not miss the opportunity to showcase it 8 different times. Literally, do not stop your hands at all. Like, it will just add more unison to your website. Let's just look at the avocado website and then avocado section, and we're going to be done with this. Again, how cool is this blue-green, by the way? Just how well do these colors work together? And also the fact that they, every single time you change their screens, they don't just abruptly change the colors. They took the yellow, which was in the flower side, and then they changed it so beautifully into this blue-green, sea green kind of shape. I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this whole technique, by the way. Just perfect. Wasai says it would take 1 to 2 minutes. I don't know much about development and build everything by intuition. Of course, please share it in the comment section. I don't think this comment section is allowing you to send links. I do not think it does. Maybe you could join the Discord group. It's actually the first link in the description, and everything you send in the general tab we'll review. If the comment section is hiding your comments because I can't see your website link at all, if you've not sent it, maybe send it in the comments. But I don't think it might allow you to, just some YouTube stuff. So just join the Discord group, first link in the description of this video. I am very, very happy to review any portfolios at all. No worries at all. And again, I want to add here, this green, this dark green, this shade, and this is just maybe something from the video. This always works so well together. Like, not only did the UI designer have a really good knowledge of colors, but their 3D designer as well. And if someone tells me that the person who did their UI also did their 3D effects, I think it's quite rare in the industry. But if they did, I'd be a fan of that person. Absolutely. Just got here by accident, and how you explain the UX stuff is amazing. Thank you so much, Wasai. That's really, really nice. Again, happy to review anything you guys send me over. Alright, so again, same exact video. I love this color scheme. Can you just take a moment to acknowledge this dark green, this light green, and this even lighter green? Like, these colors shouldn't make sense, but the fact that they've just made them fit together is just, this made my day. So perfect. Anyways, just again, a lot of very, very basic text, center aligned, but when stuff gets boring, they add an image. Kudos to the developer. Hats off. Always. And again, do not miss this beautiful, I don't know if it's an Easter egg by now because I've just fangirled over it for 10 different times by now, but just the fact that they've just managed to get all of this in one place, and these 4 images also just fit perfectly in this UI. By the way, this color and this color are exactly the same. Perfect site. Like 10 on 10 stuff. Just 10 on 10 stuff right away. Maybe a little bit of I'm still a little unnerved by how this and this don't align. Maybe the fact that this has some weird padding going on, or this image has a lot of extra space here, maybe it has something to do with that. But just to see these things aligned together would be quite nice. And also when you hover over it, this bar sort of just goes up, which is making my day. Woo! Alright, let's just go to the next site. Wasai, if you could share your, I'm just going to check the Discord for Wasai's portfolio because it's always nice. And while we're doing that, let's also get to our second website, which is, let's just let this load, and while this does, we can get to our second site, which is The Shift. The Shift is oops, I don't think Discord is working anymore. I'll take a look into it with the phone. Anyways, The Shift is the second site we're going to be reviewing. The Shift.Tokyo is, I think, the URL. Let's just let this load, and while this is loading, let's just give it a couple of seconds to load, and while it is, I'm just going to check the Discord really quickly. Wasai, if you're watching, if you could send over whatever you have on Discord. Again, super cool site, you guys. Just check out the level of effects that we have. Super duper cool site. Just right from the beginning, they've got this super duper cool pop out effect happening here, which honestly, this might be a regular UI. And again, here's the interesting part. This site does not use a huge color scheme in the very first start. Like, this is a plain video, but other than that, there isn't a huge color scheme, just black, white, and this red pointer. But the fact that they've managed to add this beautiful pop-out animation in the beginning, making sure to add a sans serif and serif font in the same heading is just top level designer stuff. I don't think we have Wasai's portfolio anymore, so I'm just going to get back from that tangent for a moment. Alright, and we're back. So let's just talk about our current website. This is the Shift by the Shift Tokyo site, and this is honestly super duper cool to look at. This is a very, very unconventional UI right from the start. This is a very unconventional UI. This isn't stuff that's aligned in the center and just bars and stuff. This isn't left aligned, right aligned, image alignment. This isn't just regular UX design alignment stuff. But whatever this is, I don't know what I want to call it, because this seems quite new as a style of alignment. But whatever this is, I love it. Varun says, I'm from the VFX industry planning to get into UI UX design. Is this the right time to get in? Because already there is a downfall in my industry. I think this is the perfect time to get into UI UX design, because and not just UI UX design, a lot of the tech fields, including UI UX design and programming, perfect web development, perfect timing, because at the end of the day, I don't see a world where humans are not required. I don't see a world where this, and I think this site is the perfect example of why UI designers are still needed. This is a completely new play on the level of UI design that I've seen in the industry until now, and I've observed it for a long time. So I think the level of newness that these UI designers that we're just talking about today are bringing to the field is proof enough that yes, there is an active need of the new level of innovation that you can do sitting in front of a screen and making your best UI designs in the whole career. If you're a good UI designer, I don't think your job is going to go anywhere. I think even if there are any layoffs, if any, they like, companies only make cuts if you're not providing something that's irreplaceable. If you're providing irreplaceable, just out of this world service, I hope I'm getting my point across. If the services that you're providing are innovative, new, something that hasn't been seen before, I don't think your job is going to go anytime soon anywhere at all. And this is also something new, because the way in which AI works is, and I know I'm getting onto a tangent, but let's just get that point cleared as well. The way AI works is AI takes the stuff that's already been made and sort of just reads through it, goes through it, labels it and everything, to get to a point where it presents new stuff, making new patterns out of what's already been made. And so if you think about it like that, I think AI will also need some data to read off of, and the level of creativity which humans can bring, I don't think the current level of technology can replicate at all. So I think UI UX design is a pretty secure field right now. Vase can't join Discord right now. No worries, Vase. Maybe you could like remove the dot and send your portfolio in the chat, like my portfolio com with removing the dots, because that helps us get around the whole link, don't send link restriction. If you could do that, otherwise send it over whenever you can, and we'll just take a while to review. Whenever you can join Discord, we'll review your site, because we come here live every single day at 6 and 8 p.m. We just review sites right now and then build something of our own at 8. So let's just jump into the shift.tokyo. The cool thing, and the reason I don't think UI designers are also going anywhere anytime soon, is because the level of this isn't a conventional layout right off the bat. Conventional layout is having text here, having image here, or having an image and a text in the center. Just one of those things which you see on every fifth site in the internet, in the whole internet. This is unconventional, this is new, and I'm quite honestly a fan of the way this is working. So they've basically center lined the text, but since the title is also the shift, they've shifted this by a couple of pixels, and also they didn't want the title to get too boring, so they've kept the exact same font size but changed the odd numbered lines to sans serif font which they had, and the even numbered lines to serif fonts, if I'm getting that, sorry, the odd numbered lines to serif fonts, because they have the lines going on here, and the even numbered lines to sans serif fonts. Sans is no, and this is no. Frostella, you can submit the your UI UX designs on the Discord group, first link in the description. Ayushman says, hey, hello Ayushman. Pavan asks, AI is the perfect stepping stone, we need to do something crazy all day every day. I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to let that slide. Fazan says, take a look at hellofazan.tech. I will do it after this site. So if you guys have anything for me to review, send it like Fazan did. Mohammed Vase Versal app. We'll take a look at both of these. Just let me get done with this shift site and we'll take a look at both of these. Alright, nothing special happening here. This is just a very, very simple hover line animation SVG sort of effect, which is very, very simple to build in Figma and programming as well. Relatively simple effects, and I think the only cool thing in this segment, although it's a very, very minute segment, is the fact that this cursor just works perfectly everywhere. Little stuff that I'm a fan of. I don't know what JA means. I hope it means something like dark mode. I think it's sort of alright. So English. That was just some Japanese. Alright. I don't get languages. Anyways, Very, very simple logo, quite minimalistic. I like it. They've just put text randomly over here, shifted it because of course the shift, and added a little bit of description text here, which is indeed quite rare to see, to add title right here and add description right here. I am so copying this, like you all should too. Again, timing goes on here, perfect. Date goes on here, perfect. You can check out the projects from this link, perfect. And this menu also so just becomes this really, really fine, cool animated piece, which we might build out at some point. This is actually quite nice because it just takes your scroll position and just goes down below to just become this whole black blob only when you hover over it, with a little bit of a border radius. And also this is one simple rectangle with a lot of border radius, masking a video behind it. This is for sure a video, which is quite cool if I'm being honest. And you can sort of hover over it and the whole circle will just sort of fill up like this, which is just, again, cool stuff. This is, I believe this is Japanese now. I think I have to switch back to English. Alright, what do we do? I'll take a look at the Discord and your portfolios and everything. What we do: Shift is a creative collective based in Tokyo. We provide new perspectives and solutions. All right. So just again, let's just take a look at how they've built this, because this seems very, very minimalistic, very, very simplistic. I love it, but I don't think it was that simple from the opinion of the UI designer who was building it. The UI designer who was building it took a care of a lot of things. Number one, white space here and here, which I also like to call breathing room, just stuff where nothing much is going on, but it provides you the right amount of space to just settle down, take this line in as it is, don't worry about it too much. And again, just this is just plain text. Maybe it's a logo, maybe it's plain text. It's actually an image of just a plain logo, nothing complicated at all. I love this cursor to death. This is the menu we just talked about. You can switch languages. This is very, very simple animation stuff, and also just very, very simple text, nothing happening at all. This is a horizontal line. Make it with the pen tool in Figma, or just type HR in HTML if you're coding. Very, very simple stuff. Again, this is again the same vector 1000 times over. I will say this on the stream every single day until every UI designer on earth learns about this. If you have a cool UI design effect, do not be afraid to show it off 10 times over. It adds unison to your UI design. It makes the whole thing just work together, even though it might seem repetitive to you. And I only think it's repetitive because I'm a UI designer looking for new and cool effects. But if I wasn't, this is just very, very maturely templated stuff. Just let's leave it at that. Again, very, very simple stuff. When stuff gets boring, change your background color. I've said this the last 2 times and I'm going to say it again. Again, very, very simple text. Let's just start from the start. Simple horizontal line, very, very simple text. You can hover over it and this line, SVG line, just sort of goes. This is a very, very simple effect in Figma and also web development. This is one of those really, really cool effects which I'm such a fan of. I actually discovered this, that you could do this sort of hover over text and reveal an image in the background with I think Ivan Grozdick's Code Pens. I don't know if I'm getting the name right. So there's a super cool guy on Code Pen who I think used to do code pens and stuff, Ivan Grozdick, and he used to like have all of these really, really cool effects in jQuery. You can check all of that stuff out if you want to. And I think this is a very, very cool on that cool trick on that, just having text hovering over it and having this image sort of be in the background. And when you go out of frame, the image doesn't just disappear, it sort of shortens from both the top and bottom, and just perfect stuff. Perfect stuff. Just works. And every single time you hover over it, it also just shifts a little bit towards the left, which is a nice play on the title, the shift. Cool stuff. And again, this just repeats again. Nice videos, but simple videos. Let's leave it at that. And you could just, I think, click on these and go to separate blogs, which I'm not going to get into too much today. Again, one effect made in a very, very cool fashion, repeated over 5 times, and I'm still a fan of it. Repetition isn't always a bad thing, especially when you have a good effect. Make sure to use it 8 different times, and that just adds a sense of unison to your design, which nothing else will. Because when you're playing around with new effects, here's the thing. From the psychology point of view, when you're playing around with an effect that you don't see every day, so you don't just go to google.com and see websites with these effects every single day. Like I've seen this 4 times in the whole year, and that's the end of it. So when you see these effects which you don't see often, it's always wiser to repeat them a couple of times over, because even your user has not seen these effects at all, and so it helps to get them familiarized with these effects while showing your strength as a UI designer. Let's just scroll. Varun says, thanks for your suggestion. Frostella says to check the lighthouse. Frostella, I'm sure your Google Lighthouse ratings are perfect. In fact, I'm quite glad I just suggested that on Discord one day, and it just took off from there. We will take a look at it. Maybe I don't think we can squeeze in the time to get to Lighthouse. Maybe send over your ratings and we'll just take a look over that. Alright, marquee tag in HTML, or just really, really simple, infinitely going on text Figma stuff, which is again cool effect. Used once with their serif font, used once with their sans serif font, exact same font size, exactly equal spacing. You can hover over it to sort of stop it for a millisecond, and that's it. Very, very simple text, horizontal line, and always, even if you have 1,000 cool effects, and I'm saying this loudly because you need to hear it loudly, there is a lot of space here, which is nice. Frostella is talking about the lighthouse for this site. I can't actually check the lighthouse. I don't think I have the extension installed right now. Maybe we'll try to take a look at it. Maybe let's just keep a pin on that. I hope it's a good lighthouse rating. I hope it is. Anyways, I'm just trying to look at the UI UX design perspective from a critic's mindset and a UI designer's mindset right now. Let's keep the lighthouse stuff for a little bit later. Ton of white space, ton of breathing room, don't forget it at all. And again, these horizontal lines animate as you scroll. Very, very simple button, super effective footer. I haven't seen the footer already and I'm already in love with it. Very, very simple text, again, same exact button which changes color when you hover over it, and also the color doesn't just change abruptly, it just sort of animates like this, which is actually a nice effect. You could just zoom in and take a couple of minutes to admire this as well. Again, how cool is the fact that you can add a serif, sans serif, or sans serif kind of theme with the exact same font size, and this just looks like something original that you came up with. Like, just this font has a different font, this is a different font, and then this font is used here all over again, and I am in love with the way this works, because it's just something that's just so simple and it's just so in front of your face, but just works so perfectly. Like, there isn't much to comment on here either, but it just works perfectly. I would suggest you try it on one of your designs as well. Cool stuff, super cool stuff. Lurker says hi, hello, welcome. White space here, white space there, super nice. Again, copyright here, nothing special happening as a part of the animations which we're exploring. Dark mode, which you can switch to, which I think they should have placed it in the beginning, because no one scrolls down and then wishes for dark mode. At this point, it's just a missed opportunity. Again, this looks like one of those really expensive sites, like just premium and expensive and dollar kind of sites, and just I do hate the fact that they didn't place the dark mode with the language switching option, because once I made a site which was actually, the client was actually from Japan, and one of the main conversations that was on the topic of the table was, if you're switching the language, you should also have the dark mode switcher at the very, very same place. So my point here is that was a completely different tangent, but my point here is, maybe if you're providing an option to switch the language at the beginning, maybe have the option to switch dark modes right here, because again, having a couple more buttons wouldn't hurt this design per se, but this, at the end of the day, when you see your light mode, dark mode switcher at the end, it's just such a missed opportunity. I am already regretting this so much. I think the user would regret this as well, unless the user is familiar with your site. They do not want to see your light mode, dark mode switcher at the very end, and also they have this Instagram link. So overall, 9 out of 10, because I'm honestly annoyed with the light mode, dark mode switcher, but other than that, cool stuff. And again, I think this was a 9.5 too, because this alignment just sort of irks me. And again, these designers, and this is a perfect example on how these designers have made such cool stuff, managed to get it all right, and yet putting the button in the wrong place, not being able to align. And I don't think they can't align it, I just think it's just one of those things that you sort of look over. Oh, this just becomes an oversight, not aligning the button and menu, the logo and menu in the same exact line. These are the things that just irk me as a user a little bit, but other than that, super cool stuff. Perfect design execution, can't exactly complain. All right, before we go any further, let's just read a couple of comments. Faizan says, in this trend of modern UI design, very less prefer this UI design, simple black and white and large text. Absolutely, but I also think at the same time, this is a subcategory of modern UI design. This isn't very, I agree with you, but I think this has only appeared in the recent times. Like, this wasn't something you'd see in the UI design days of 2012. So this is just one of those recent trends. So I would also categorize this as modern design, but again, topic up for debate. But the fact that when you don't have many colors, when you don't have a color scheme, go with black and white, and always make sure your text is large. That's also something you need to take care of. But again, let's just take a look at some of the portfolios that our users have sent us right here. Let's look at Wase Rana's text very first. Wase Rana's portfolio in the very beginning. I can't pronounce stuff anymore, you guys. Mohammad-Warsel.app. Alright, let's just let this load. Super cool, again, super cool gradient to start off. Nice gradient, great job. This is such a simplistic navigation bar, super nice. Like it's if you're a beginner in UI design, I think 3 years of experience, nice work. When you're looking at 3 years of UI design and also this portfolio, super cool stuff. Again, I would suggest, and I'm not being nitpicky here at all, but one of the main things that the user, when they come to your site, looks at this super huge piece of text, maybe add a logo, icon, not your logo, just an icon, some sort of little image in the middle, and that's just going to break apart this huge text monotony that's going on here, because at one point it just becomes very heavy for the user to look at. But again, I think the fact that you've got this beautiful gradient in the background of your site just makes my day. Perfect stuff. Also, this image squiggle effect is just something we all need to embrace for our avatars. Just me saying wonderful stuff. And also, this navigation bar has a ton of border radius, rounded pill shape, perfect. And also, I think these buttons are also rounding off, which is quite nice, and you can just scroll. Again, this line gives it the little amount of white space padding thing that you need, and I am an absolute fan of that. Again, with the text, it's just going to get really hard, Wase, for people to read this whole thing if you don't have any sort of breathing room in the middle. Maybe add a couple of lines, add an image, or in the middle of this paragraph, add something, add an image. This is a very good, very modern UI design. Like, shows the fact that you're a professional, but it just becomes extremely difficult to read after a while. So maybe add an image in the middle. Check out yesterday's stream where we 6 p.m. stream where we took a look at a couple of sites in which they broke down the monotony of long text paragraphs by adding simple images. That was also very cool stuff. Check it out if you want to, and that's just going to give you the absolute solution you need to break down this monotony. So I did mention it there somewhere, and it just breaks down the whole monotony aspect. Add images, add logos, just add something. I know it's going to derail your HTML a little bit, but again, I also need to plug in my laptop. You're right. Wow. If this laptop just blacked out, the stream would black out as well, which is quite the bummer. But we would just plug it back in and continue. Back to plugged in. And also, I love the fact that you've just added this dark mode, light mode switcher right here. This is something the Shift was lacking, which I sort of hate them for it, because you need to have the dark mode, light mode switcher right here. Maybe if you could get this button to stick at least for the hero section right here, that would make things better as well. And also, I love this gradient, especially in the dark mode. So maybe if the people who are interviewing you are from the tech community, maybe it's just wiser to start with dark mode and then go to light. This is also a very new modern trend. Start with dark mode, give them the option to switch to light mode. That's just going to make this gradient pop so much. But great job with the buttons, great job with the navigation section, great job with the whole gradient, great job with the avatar image. Frostella says you should be showing your work from second section. Client doesn't care about your big text, they care about your work much more. I think it's not the end of the world if you want to show your about me text. Yes, I would move it behind the project section. I think it's this still looks nice. If you had images here, it would just take it from an average website to an advanced website, which would just blow users' minds completely. So again, very cool stuff. I think this is an excellent site from a 3-year experience perspective, and also these projects just sort of scale up, become perfect. And also I love the fact that they sort of bend a little bit, and just cool effects. By the way, I'm going to geek out to all of these articles as well. Blue whale, a network anomaly detection system. Fix your spellings. That's something hiring managers just get really angry over. Anyways, super cool stuff. And the fact that when you scroll, it scales down, scales up as you start to scroll down is just, again, cool stuff. Did you notice when I sort of just got in, it just sort of animated when I scrolled in? Check this out. This is cool stuff, super cool stuff. And again, experience, nice experience, super nice stuff. The fact that it animates as you scroll is something that just makes the whole thing a complete chef's kiss moment. I hope your contact me form works. Sometimes it doesn't work. And why is this saying copyright 2030? Like, I wouldn't do that. Copyright 2024 works. It just looks weird, like you're trying to be over smart with the whole copyright section. And I'm just talking from the perspective of the hiring manager. Like, maybe switch these years, take the time once every year to sort of switch this out, because 2030 looks like someone trying to be sticky with their, like, I don't know, just funny and gremlin-y in all sorts of ways. Cool stuff, cool site, simplistic design, which I love, but also maybe break up the monotony of these huge text paragraphs. Other than that, again, cool site, really cool site. Let's talk about, Liam says, I love your content from Pakistan. Thank you so much. That's really nice to hear. That's really nice to hear. All right, the next site that we have is also from a fellow viewer. Faizan's site was hellofazan.tech. Let's just take a look at that really quickly. hellofazan.tech. Again, gradients here once again. Maybe change the image a little bit and break the text. Like I see that you've tried to break up the monotony by adding a couple of icons, but this just doesn't cut it, just isn't enough. Maybe increase the size of these icons by some era, add a little bit of images, and just break up the whole text monotony thing. Because again, this previous site had a little bit of white space to break up this monotony, but I don't see a lot of white space here too. It looks like an article, and also the color contrast is just so off. It just irks me a little bit. So just maybe work on the color contrast. This site is supposed to be dark by default, and yet it isn't. I don't know where the dark mode switcher is, but again, cool site, nice effects. Just looks really thin, and just maybe you could start exploring the left and right sections. Anyways, we have to jump back because of time constraints to our sites which we had planned for today. Let's just jump right back, and the sites that we're building out today. Again, if you like what we're doing here, make sure to like this video. I come here live every single day, 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time or 12:30 p.m. GMT if you're anywhere in the world. ali2times.com. Again, this is very simplistic. I actually looked at this design a really long time ago, but ali2times.com is a very simple design. Ali's design is very simple design, and just I just like it. The fact that this sort of comes up into view is quite nice, and the fact that they always have the decency to give you a ton of white space is also something I am an absolute fan of. Like, the fact that they have white space here is just awesome for me. Maybe having a couple of images might have changed things, but I'm just being nitpicky here. Like, the fact that they have, and also the fact that this font size and this font size and this font size are so different helps the fact along that you could just know what the first thing is to look at, know what the second thing is to look at, regardless of the layout in which it is placed. So make sure your font sizes are different and add a ton of white space. The two best design principles ever. I find myself, like, I have 10 principles to go with like 10 principles of UI design to talk about, but I just keep finding myself going back to these two all the time. Super duper cool. White space all day, every day. White space, complete game changer. And again, this just comes back into view as you start to scroll into it. Quite nice. This bento like grid is also very breaking up the conventional fashion. Videos play when you hover over them. Cool effect, super cool effect. None of these are complicated effects to make. This isn't a complicated site to make on an overall basis, but the fact that they never miss a chance to break up your monotony. The white space was a testament to the fact that they never miss a chance to break up the monotony. These things just sort of animate into view so that your focus doesn't go away from the site. And again, also, when stuff gets boring, change it to dark mode. And now we're just going to go back. When stuff gets boring, just give it a different color. Give your whole thing a different background color. Super duper fun. I like Ali 2 times as well, which is nice stuff. Again, bento grid for images without any border radius. A new take, because usually when you see bento grids, you also see these border radiuses. So the fact that they have not added border radiuses is actually quite nice to see. And also, again, simple images, nothing complicated from a UI designer's perspective, except for the fact that they never break up the monotony. I am a little bit surprised at how this made Awwwards site of the month, because honestly it's just quite simplistic, nothing too complicated. It relies super duper heavily on animations, and so just I have some reason to believe that there are better sites on the internet. Maybe this isn't site of the month, maybe just there weren't enough sites to review that month, something like that. Like I am a little bit surprised at how this managed to make it to site of the month, because it's comparatively simpler compared to all of the other sites of the month that we end up reviewing genuinely. Again, I am a little bit surprised, but it's nice that they have just kept this pattern, and there's a pattern here, you guys. So I'm just going to zoom out for you. Actually, I don't think zooming out helps at all. I'm just going to go back to our original view. So if you could just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that this is a pattern, one image here and one image here, one image here, and then you just give this one image to just sort of forget that whole pattern. And once you forget that whole pattern, one image here, one image here, one image here. So this 3-image bento grid without any border radius is actually very cool. The fact that they don't feel the need to fill up every single space, they are okay with leaving out a little bit of white space, is actually quite nice as a concept. Love it. Just it's actually animates when you zoom into view. I am surprised at how this managed to make Awwwards of the month Awwwards site of the month. I'm not going to lie, but otherwise it's just cool use of UI design principles, and also the fact that maybe even if your site isn't the most complicated thing in the whole world, maybe even if you don't have a 3D designer with you, you can still make it to Awwwards. So that just works both ways, however you want to take a look at it. Animates into view. Again, this accordion is also cool because this has the same SVG, and I've been reviewing sites for the last 3 days non-stop, and every single time every second site, every third site has this exact same very simple UI design effect of hovering into something, and then this whole bar fills up, and then this goes away with this whole animation feel. So this is just one of those cool effects which I've just seen it so many times in all modern sites that it's just something to take a note of. And maybe it's starting to get overused as well. AJ says, how to design gaming websites? I can't draw cool cartoonist elements that will match the theme. Do you have game characters from the games? Do you have some you could use some illustrations and stuff, icons from Iconify, maybe use leonardo.ai to generate some cool images for you which are on the gamer's theme. A couple of suggestions from off the top of my head. And again, simple accordion, nothing complicated at all, very simple stuff, basic text, not a lot of animation, just not a lot of cool shaky animations, just animations that work as you scroll into it. Again, very mature kind of site, not a lot of childlike color wise fun happening, nothing special is happening here. It's just a really well made site, and that just works. Nothing special here either, so you can just hover over it. And this, we just saw this effect in the Delicis group sites as well. Just can you just was it the Delicis site or was it the Shift site? I think this was the Shift site. I would not be surprised if the same exact animator made them. Just check this out, you guys. This is an exact same copy of the last footer that we saw. This footer and this footer are exactly the same. Are you guys noticing this pattern, or am I just imagining things at this point? Copy right here, Copyright here, no special effect, no special effect. You can hover over this underlined element and you have this beautiful SVG fill line going on. You can hover over this Instagram and they have this beautiful SVG fill going on. Maybe the timing is just a little bit different by a couple of milliseconds, but nothing too great at that. Light mode button here, and I think back to top button here. So just two exact same carbon copies of the skeletons of footers here. So just one of those cool things that you just look at and think, wow. All right. AJ asks, while doing freelancing, how do UX writing on the website or client provides it? Mostly the client will provide you the text to put on the website, but if they don't, I think you could just put in the main points that the client wants you to include, maybe add them to ChatGPT if you're not a professional UX writer, and just get a little bit of text, get a couple of options, explore from there. And so Leonardo.ai and ChatGPT are the two my favorite go-to places for AI related help on websites, and that usually solves most of your problems that you're facing as a plain UI UX designer who is freelancing or otherwise. Alright, give me a moment and we'll be back to reviewing our fourth and final site. I gotta drink water because I've been screaming for a really long time at the screen now. Alright, so before we get to our next site, let's just take a look at one of the sites Frostella sent us on our Discord group. It is called j4j.versal.app. Again, high expectations from a cool site. Check this out, you guys. This is actually quite nice. This is quite nice. Like, there isn't much loaded here. Why is there nothing? I had some expectations from the navigation bar. What is going on? What is going on here? I have no idea what this is doing. Like, there isn't much happening either. Like, this seems like a pretty stagnant site. Maybe get it fixed, Rosella. Let's just jump to our next and last site for today. Super duper fun, super duper cool. Miranda paper portfolio. This is something that I've been wanting to do on this channel for a really long time. Nicolo Miranda's paper portfolio is a new concept inspired by something really old. So you're going to find this quite funny. I found it quite funny. Maybe my sense of humor just finds stuff funny, but this is just some new stuff that we're taking a look at now. Again, this is super cool because it zooms into view and sort of just rotates to fit. Again, navigation bar here, navigation bar here, navigation bar here. You could just sort of open this navigation bar and just perfectly newspaper inspired effects, super duper perfect. Again, super amazing. Again, this just has that technically newspaper feel to it, which is actually quite nice to see. And again, not a lot of stuff happening from the UI UX designer's point of view, but this is just a funny pick to leave over here because this is just huge fonts. Reminds you of a newspaper. The pattern, the texture, everything in the background does a perfect job at that. You don't have many animation effects going on over here, but again, very simple logo, very simple navigation bar, nothing complicated happening, but 3 different section divisions, and I think they're going to repeat this a couple of times over as well. And again, huge newspaper like headline, very reminiscent of a newspaper, which we don't use that often anymore. Again, font sizes are extremely different, very important, because you sort of want the user to take a look at this first and then take a look at this later if you're looking to, and when you sort of just cool illustrations as well. So if you're looking for a portfolio to build, this is a really cool thing to look at. Maybe get your portfolio inspired from newspapers or paper or letters, posted letters and stuff like that, stuff that's just really getting outdated now, but people know what it is. Just cool stuff. AJ asks how to convert UX research stuff into UI designs, because I get confused whether my designs will give desired results or not. How to confirm it? I think the best way you can do that is to have for me it was to have a little bit of alpha beta testers with me, and if you don't have that, you can join our discord group, which is the first thing in the description. Send it over, and we as a community also review the stuff that you all make. So it's a really good place if you want a alpha beta testers on your UI UX design. Cool place. Again, they're using this exact same title here and here as well, exact same stuff happening, same images, nothing too special happening here at all, like nothing special happening here at all. Again, 3 different sections of division, images, same exact font, very I am a little bit bummed out on the fact that you don't have a sans serif font here, but again, maybe it's just me being nitpicky. It's quite rare indeed to see sites which have just one serif font, and just to alternate between the thicknesses of that font to go ahead and see the difference between all these fonts. So yes, there isn't a lot of font stuff happening here, just a weird bento portfolio. It's quite nice to see this, because you don't see it that often. Just the fact that they've just sort of managed to blend this together, image here, text here, image here, is very unconventional, but also newspaper inspired, super duper cool portfolio, super duper fun stuff. And again, I feel like this pattern repeats here a ton. Image, text, image, or maybe just a lot of text here. So again, cool stuff. A little bit bummed out over the facts. I am still bummed out over the fact that they don't have a sans serif font, but maybe that just has to do with the fact that they had to get it as close to a newspaper as they could. So maybe they just had to just stick with that fact. And again, you can hover over it and just everything just slides into view, which is actually quite perfect to look at. Just super duper perfect to look at. Again, cool stuff, cool stuff. Absolutely cool stuff. And again, the triple column division repeats, shows itself again. This was also the case in the very beginning of the website. So you had these 3 columns come up, but again, this just keeps on happening over and over again. The footer is actually quite nice, because the footer is a whole marquee tag, which honestly I'm a fan of. One day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, in fact, one of these days we have to look at marquee tags, infinitely scrolling text in Figma, and just stuff like that. Again, we've got a couple of really simple links. Not a lot happening from the UI UX designer's perspective, but it was an interesting, thought-provoking build to get on here, to get on this show, just to get you thinking about, you could just get, if you're not sure on how to make your portfolio website as a UI UX designer, maybe you could inspire it from a newspaper like these people have done, or maybe you could just take like one of those postcard letters, something that's very universal, something that people know about, but something that's a little bit outdated nowadays. It's like one of those things where you don't always have to have the printer icon on the print button of your laptop keys or your keyboard keys, but they still do. It's just very reminiscent of the whole thing, and it's just one of those things that takes you back to the time of the newspaper rule, and just it's nicely reminiscent of the stuff that's going on. Again, super cool navigation bar. It just sort of slides down. I built this navigation bar which just crosses off the current page that you're currently at. I built this out and maybe we'll build this out on our site as well. This breaks stuff apart. AJ asks, thanks for the answers. Do you think animated websites work in the real world, or is it just a wave? If it was a wave, it has been around for such a long time that it's not a wave anymore. A wave is only something that comes and goes away. But I've been a UI UX designer, web developer for a pretty long time, and I've also seen friends who've been here longer. And for as long as websites have existed, and for as long as we've had the capability to animate stuff on the internet, fancy new design techniques are always coming up. So I don't think this is a wave. I think this is an actual artwork, an actual description of how advanced, how thorough you can go with your UX design skills. I think this is actually here to stay. So if you increase your UI UX design skills up to a level, you'll automatically start making things that look like this. I think this is a very cool thing that advanced UI designers only make, and I think this is actually super duper nice. I think it's nice, and it's very practical as well, if you are not stupid with it. So if you're stupid with it, which was the case with Akaru's UI design, I don't want to name call people, but I have to for this show. Akaru's UI design is something we took a look at yesterday, and that was just fancy UI stuff being stupid. It was just such a mistake. But if you're not doing stuff like that, most of these sites are very practical. If UI UX designers in the real world had this level of skill, I think this would be the convention everywhere. But most UI UX designers are not that skilled, and hence we don't see it often enough, which is quite a bummer if I'm being honest. Alright, again, weird stuff, extremely weird stuff usually happens, but this I like the fact they've switched over the navigation bar from the top to the right side. This is again quite rare to see in average websites. Featured work, again, newspaper like feel, and I for some reason I believe the fact that they've worked with Prada. For some reason I believe the fact, because of the whole reinventing the wheel sort of vibe which I'm getting from this portfolio. I have very good belief that they built the site with Prada. I have a feeling they did. I do believe it. And again, very, very reminiscent. Do you remember the scene in Harry Potter where the newspaper, which it was in Harry's, I think it was the 5th movie, the newspaper in Harry's hand just sort of, or maybe it was the 3rd movie, it was the 3rd movie, it had the whole, his god, I don't know what his serious black arc in it, and every single time he used to look at the newspaper, the whole thing just sort of animated. I think this is a fun play on that, because a couple of videos here were animating as well. This is a fun play on that. Maybe we could make a site inspired by like Harry Potter hardcore at some point, newspapers that animate, and just the whole Sirius Black in Azkaban jail animating as a video on a newspaper comes to mind. This is just really, really reminiscent of that. I wouldn't criticize the fonts and the spacing here too much, although I want to, because I get the fact that they're building out for a newspaper like feel, which is honestly quite fresh to see. This section of the whole thing sticks, which is again, sticky navigation is something we're going to cover in one of the coming streams within this week, in the 8 p.m. Figma streams as well. So again, super duper cool stuff that's happening. Super duper nice stuff. I see the fact that they've sort of animated this perfectly. Just really nice stuff. Perfect animations happening amazingly. Love it. I would like to see more websites which are inspired by other elements in the real world, which is actually quite nice to see. Awards panel, judge, teacher, again wonderful stuff. I don't know how to animate this. Maybe this slider, maybe it's just 3 slides long, but I highly doubt it. I don't know how the slider works yet. Maybe add a little bit of a arrow here to sort of navigate, or automatic scrolling here to navigate, which I don't think is happening yet. Again, a super cool design, super cool stuff. And did you check out these numbers? They animate. Like, check out these numbers, you guys. They just sort of animate, and just this really, really cool stuff where you can go ahead and take a look at this video. Again, cool stuff. Perfect grid aligning, perfect stuff happening. And again, this might seem very, very complicated, but I'm just going to take a moment here to sort of break down this component in itself, which has been replicated like 13 times. Main text here, icon here, which animates only after you hover on the number, which this is. So again, number, icon here, title here, very, very simple stuff, and also another icon here, which I think is exactly the same as the number. So even if you by chance don't end up hovering on the number, which is actually a really, really nice thing to think about if you're building out these fancy UIs. If you don't have it, maybe the user doesn't hover on the numbers, in which case there's always this button to go and click on. Very, very nice thinking of the worst case scenario by the developer. Again, this is a perfect example of the fact that if you make a perfect UI design effect, or not perfect UI design effect, a good UI design effect that just looks really, really good, don't be afraid to replicate it a bunch of times. It just gives user the level of comfort with which they can just sort of use it many, many times. And again, I think we've reached the end of this site now. Super duper cool stuff. Again, breaking boring stuff down into a grid. Once this becomes boring, they just sort of add a different color in the text background, which is not very far from our rule of changing the color backgrounds of websites and stuff. Again, cool stuff. Absolute fan. I have no idea why this footer is just breaking off. Maybe if I set it to full screen, it won't break off, but maybe it would. Again, Nicolo Miranda has a site which just sort of takes hardcore inspiration from newspapers. Consider me a fan. If you liked what we're doing today, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video. I come here live every single day, 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time, talking about the really, really cool stuff that goes on in the world of UI design, the really, really cool sites that are broken down from a web designer's, UI designer's point of view. We come here live every single day at 8 p.m. too, where we talk about breaking these actual UI design effects, making them in Figma from the perspective of UI designers, breaking them into simple short tutorials. We're currently on the 100 Days of UI Design Challenge, on which today is day 26 in the 8 p.m. series. Do not miss it. I will be live in 1 other hour. I will see you again. Until then, take care and goodbye.